A spectacular performance. Curry from half court.
Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here, the 3 Points Podcast, after yet again another little bit of a long break. But we haven't missed much. The Warriors are in a downward spiral. Things are not looking good. It's looking pretty bleak. It's looking like the downward trend of a beautiful franchise. We were blessed with 2015 to 2019, and then 2022 was just a cherry on top. However, now we're gonna have to pay for our sins. We are currently 22 and 23, 22 and 23 for the season. So we are currently 11th in the Western Conference. So not even in the play-in. We're out of the play-in. But I think one thing to note for that is that it's a pretty tight Western Conference. We're not too many games behind genuine playoff contention. So that is something on the bright side. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff going on. We're not going to go game by game for the games we've missed because that would just be too many, too long. We're just going to have a conversation as three guys, three friends, about what the Warriors are doing right now and what's going on. So I guess let's just start with the injuries, right? What do we think about that? How big of an impact has that been having in our current situation? Open floor, anyone could talk.
I guess I'll talk about Kuminga because he's missed some time as of late with I think like a knee or ankle. I think like Steve Kerr diagnosed it, or not diagnosed it, but like told everyone what the situation was. So that's definitely kind of troubling since he was like our most consistent scorer, like consistent secondary scorer, even ahead of Wiggins, I would say. Even though Wiggins kind of had the better like all around play, like as a defender and all that. But I think Kuminga was like our most consistent scorer besides Steph. And now we're kind of just like the secondary scoring is being done like by committee by like Dennis Schroeder, Buddy Hield, and kind of Wiggins, which is just like a nightmare. To like you can imagine, like as Warriors fans are watching all these games totally, and it's just like a nightmare to see these guys try to help Steph out. So it definitely sucks to lose him because he's such an asset. And I think like we talked about earlier, like he's like one of the biggest guys in a lot of trade talks, and he's not able to increase his stock right now because he's injured. He's not like necessarily like killing it, I guess, but obviously like him not playing, he's not able to like show potential teams like why he would still be a good asset. So that it's just kind of like a negative situation all around. Obviously, that's my opinion on the Kuminga injury. I don't know if there's what the other major injuries are.
Yeah, there's also Draymond Green. I think
the other one is
we'll
Draymond.
let I was thinking we can let
Thomas.
Thomas tackle that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Draymond is kind of like really difficult to evaluate exactly what's missing when he's not out there because so much of what he provides is kind of like in the margins and it's difficult to see in real time. But I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that basically the worst stretch of the Warriors season, I think we're like probably like 4-7 since he's gotten hurt, has come with him out. I mean, if you look at like the advanced stats, he's still like in 90th percentile in terms of total impact on and off. So again, like it's difficult to pinpoint exactly how he makes that because that's always been his kind of thing. It's like, how is he this impactful? You watch him, you don't like you see some of the passes, you see some of the individual defensive plays, but it's then you look at the advanced stats. It's like, oh my God, this guy's like the top 10 player in the league, basically. And the impact. It's all kind of it's just it's like in the atmosphere. But I don't think it's a coincidence that the play has declined so rapidly with him not on the court. And I do think that the games will start to look a little bit less depressing once he comes back. Just kind of through him working his magic, his chemistry with Steph, all that stuff. We know about it. But yeah, and then as to Kuminga, like that's just been absolutely awful. Like Wes said, it's been basically torture watching the offense without Steph try to create stuff without Kuminga on the floor because we basically don't have. I mean, even Wiggins, like the ISOs are okay. I mean, he'll occasionally hit a nice midi and stuff, but 9 times out of 10, he's turning these ISO possessions into contested jumpers, and it's just pretty ugly basketball. And then everybody else, I mean, good Lord, they might even not get a shot off. The amount of times I've seen guys like take these like fade away, fall away, contested threes because after dribbling the clock out for like 20 seconds, it's just disgusting. So yeah, I mean, it's just awful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Go
just
ahead.
want to
Wes.
say like specifically like Kaminga, he's not close to return. That's what Steve Kerr said, and Draymond has a calf injury. He underwent an MRI on Sunday, like this past Sunday. That probably means, and he'll be reevaluated in 1 week. So it doesn't seem like either of them are that close to coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, so the torture will continue to ensue. I think this whole injury situation has made me appreciate Kaminga more because although he has had all those problems we've been harping about for the last 2 seasons, ugly possessions at time, forcing shots, not a great playmaker, we still had someone who would still was willing to bite the bullet and kind of just try to generate something. And because of his sheer athleticism and a great ability to drive for the basket, it was something that was a little bit different. With Wiggins, with Schroeder, with all these guys, as Thomas said, it's going to be like a little bit of time clock. We're wasting the shot clock, and then it's going to be a tough contested midi or three or fadeaway. And at least with Kaminga, there was a little bit of variety, right? He would be driving to the basket and stuff like that. So it's made me appreciate him more. Has it made me appreciate him enough to be like, yeah, man, keep him a warrior, don't trade him? No, because I think if we want something now, we need to trade him. But more on that later, I guess. We could talk about the future of the franchise, what we need to do later. And as for Draymond, uh, I mean, there's nothing more to add, right? He's the soul of this offense and defense, right? We have been staying afloat defensively without him. Currently, I believe we rank uh, 10th in defensive rating, so not horrible,
Mhm.
pretty damn solid actually. But when he comes back, obviously expect to see a boost in that as well. Um, another guy who was injured, Podzemski, came back last 2 games, and I mean, he's been playing pretty well. His three has seemed to, come back. He was 3 for 6 last night against the Lakers in our loss, and against the win against the Bulls, he was 2 for 4, 17 points and 10 points respectively. How do we feel about that?
He looks great. He hasn't missed a step. I mean, he was kind of getting it together right before he got hurt, and I was kind of worried that when he came back, he was going to regress a little bit. But he looks great. I mean, the three ball is, I think, really, it's, I don't want to reduce him because he has a very diverse skill set. But I think for him to be able to stay on the court, provide positive value, the three ball is going to be the most important thing because we just need floor spacers out there. Because we have so many guys who are like fringe floor spacers and kind of can be on one game and off the other as a shooter. So if he can be a consistent shooter, I think that's gonna make Steve Kerr, or hopefully force Steve Kerr into playing him big minutes. And then everything else, like he still looks like Pods. He hit a little like funky like turnaround, like spin pirouette jumper over AD last night that was like a nothing but net, which is kind of sick. He's still doing the little like, I don't know how he has this like
Push shot, right?
what do you call it? Yeah, like push shot type
Push
thing. He's
shot,
still doing
like a
like
push
still
fade
pods.
floater, push
He
floater.
he's he looks like the same guy, which is pretty good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wes?
mean, I feel like our like lack of success this season was never on Pods. Like he was kind of the cherry on top in the negative way that him like not playing well kind of just was killing us. But now that he's playing a lot better and more like the Pods we saw last season, he was like really impressive as a rookie. It's kind of good that he's kind of like found his groove, I guess. Maybe it was like the time off, like with the injury to kind of like rekindle his love for the game, But yeah, I mean, I think we're not close, but like obviously, like Pods playing well it's definitely a good sign in the right direction among a lot of negativity around the team, like people playing below their standards. But he's back, I would say. It's good.
And I guess continuing with the trend of talking about positives and the many negatives for the Warriors, Quinton Post and Guy Santos, they've been getting a lot of minutes. Um, I see Thomas make a little happy face, a little bit of woo, he's mouthing woo. So what's up with that? How do we feel about them and their increased minutes?
I mean, I guess let somebody else talk about Gee, but just talk about Quentin Post for a second. I mean, the jumper just looks so pure. Like, I mean, obviously, like what matters is that it goes in, right? Visually watching him shoot that basketball, I'm like, this dude could be a 45% three-point shooter for like the next decade. He just has that he just has the stroke. You can just see it. I'm really excited to see him play next to Draymond too. Like that's for me, that's the big thing. I think if he can prove that he can play next to Draymond and Draymond can operate more as a four with a true floor spacing five, which is something we've never really had, I am at least curious to see if that might produce some winning basketball. I'm not gonna say I'm optimistic. Maybe that could produce some winning basketball. I don't know.
Wes,
Uh,
what do you think about Guy Santos or Post or both, whichever one you want to talk about?
yeah, I'll talk about Guy Santos. I watched some videos about Post, but I haven't really watched his game that much. But I mean, he's been on the team for like a year or two now. He's kind of just been riding the bench for a while, so it's kind of with all these injuries, it was good. It was kind of scary that we had to play him, but like obviously he actually showed that he is a quality NBA player, like by far. Like he's hit a lot of good shots. He's definitely a positive asset. He's a big guy, and we're kind of lacking in the size department a lot of the times. I would say like Wiggins is like kind of our one big solid forward, especially with coming out. So it's kind of good that he is out there to like give us an offensive boost. And he seems like a very like consistent, like kind of like type player. Like you're not really don't have to worry about him kind of failing or anything like that because he's playing pretty solid so far with the minutes he's been given by Steve Kerr. Quinton Post, I mean, like Thomas said, it's like a brand new like possibility, like new possibilities for this team if he's able to like his stretch big. Um, if that's able to come to fruition, especially with Draymond coming back, I really hope they're able to like kind of infuse like everything, all the good parts about like each of them, like Steph, Dre, Quincy Post, Wiggins, got like Dennis Schroeder. Hopefully, unlock Dennis Schroeder because he's been playing really bad. But I definitely think like Quinton Post, you know, if he's able to like unlock like a new element for this team, that'd be really sick, obviously. So
Yeah, and I think just for myself to speak on them a little bit, um, both of you guys said the same thing, and I agree with that. They're great space floors. Both are kind of young, early. I mean, I don't know how old Guy Santos is. Like, how old is he? He's probably a
he's
little bit
drafted in
older, right? Because he was,
22.
but he's probably a little bit older, right? Because he played in the
Yeah,
Brazilian league, I would imagine, probably.
he's 22.
Hmm.
Oh wow, okay, he's a lot younger
Oh,
than I was. Literally thinking like 26 or something like that. That is awesome. So
But Post,
that's
I
good
think,
to
spent
hear.
4 years at Boston College, so he's
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Post I
Post
know
is
is
like
like
23.
yeah,
yeah.
he's 24 actually.
Damn,
So
okay.
yeah, definitely a little bit older than he's kind of like a Trace Jackson Davis vibe, not in play style, in drafting, where we kind of found someone who has a clear cut role, and we
Yeah,
are
they're kind of
hoping
already
that they could
there.
kind of be dropped into the lineup and they could continue to execute that versus kind of grow and prosper in the system like Poole or something like that. So um, definitely I like them on the floor. I like this is I guess these are the times where I know Kerr has been under a lot of flack for his coaching, and a lot of fans are kind of turning against him, etc.
Every time they cut to him on the sideline, I'm just like, I want to fucking slap that dumbass. He has this stupid expression on the whole game. It's just like this, like confusion and like exasperation. It's like you can it just looks like I don't know. I'm trying to think what's a good. I don't know, I had an analogy and it like slipped out of my mind, but it just you know what I'm talking about. It's just like this, like what am I doing here expression. I'm like, dude, you can retire. Like it's a, like
Yeah,
he looks like somebody who doesn't want to be there, to be honest.
yeah, and then that's what a lot of fans do, but not to harp too much on Kerr. The reason I brought him up is because, again, as a pro and con of the 12-man roster or using your depth is that when it works, right? It looks pretty. Oh, look at Key Santos, Quinton Post, using your young guys, they're hooping, it looks great. But then on the flip side, unfortunately, a guy I was shouting out early on the season, Lindy Waters, he's been underperforming. Buddy Hield is kind of basically Clay Thompson for us now, like just super
Don't
inconsistent.
okay, don't please don't insult Clay like that.
Like, okay, Clay in
That's so
his low
disrespectful.
moments, Clay in his low moments, like the
At his
inconsistency
absolute worst.
at his absolute worst. That's what I mean. Like, which is basically last season for us. Like, it was the absolute lowest with us. Obviously, not
Yeah.
Clay consistent, like on average with the Warriors.
Yeah.
He's like the third greatest shooter of all time. Hield has been super inconsistent, which it didn't solve that problem whatsoever. So, um, they've been playing well. Obviously Santos is a pure just shooter. Defensively, I haven't picked up anything, so that doesn't tell me that he's good or bad. I feel like he's just kind of meh. He's a
Yeah.
hustler.
He's like there, I think.
Yeah, he's not like a cone, which is all right, I guess. Post, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if you guys felt the same way. I feel like there is a spark of a little bit of playmaking ability in him. I've seen a couple of plays where he had the right vision. Unfortunately, though, he couldn't get it done. Like it was like the pass was off or whatever. But he has the vision and he has the potential, I think. So I hope he keeps on honing on that skill. Do you guys agree, disagree with that?
I agree. I mean, the Warriors have always wanted their bigs to pass because one of the things that, like, one of the things about the Warriors is that since Draymond oftentimes plays as the center, like the whole system kind of revolves around that the center being able to play make. So the guys who fill in for him have to kind of try to at least try a little bit to do that. So you'd like obviously a lot out of the short roll, like where Steph gets doubled and then he's throwing it over his body or over the two defenders, two posts, and trying to let posts, take advantage of the 4-on-3. I think I've seen him like convert on that once or twice, but I've also seen him. I saw him. I think last game he threw a pretty ridiculous like bounce pass that was basically straight to a defender, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" But I mean, it's okay. Like he's 20, 24, whatever. It's his first time getting real minutes. Everything I want to touch on with post really quickly is the defense is pretty rough. He's kind of slow. He's not going to be able to switch. I don't think he's not somebody who you can really trust on anybody who's gonna. I mean, I would even say even forwards are probably gonna be able to blow by him or shoot over him, and he's not going to be able to do much about it. I mean, AD was kind of. I don't want to judge him too much because I mean, AD gives the business to everybody, but AD was absolutely just roasting him last night, just possession after possession, hitting faders over him, going right past him, hitting floaters over him, all this stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I think that is probably going to hamper his ability to play big minutes because he does seem to be a pretty noticeable liability on the end right now, but we'll see.
Exactly. I think he's young. There's still time. He's this is what like his fifth game with real minutes and such. So
Exactly. Yeah.
exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. I really like his pick. And yeah, I think now I just want to shift into one last question that Thomas and I were talking on call a couple days ago, and I was like, what is the future for the Warriors? What do we do right now? If we're Mike Dunleavy Jr., what do we all individually think we would do with the franchise right now? Do we go all in for the now? Which I mean, it seems like that's what they're trying to do, and clearly nothing much is happening. Or B, you just go for the future and you blow it up. I think the reason why I said I think we're trying to go for the now, which I think we all agree with that, is obviously we try to get Dennis Schroeder, and for the last 20 games that he's been with us, he's been averaging 10.8 points, 4.5 assists, 2.1 rebounds per game. So he has had a very steep drop off from when he was with the Nets. Obviously, the role is very different. Obviously, his usage rates are going to be a lot lower as compared to when he was with the Nets. But he's been struggling quite a bit, which is
Yeah.
really unfortunate. We really needed him to be that really solid secondary option. So we got Kaminga, Shooter, Wigan. So you could kind of distribute the load. He hasn't been able to do that as of now. So again, what would you guys do now if you're the Warriors? Wes, why don't you start?
I still think it. I mean, like I said when I talked about Kuminga, a lot of like him not playing goes back to like him not really affecting his stock as a trade asset that much, and I still see him as a trade asset more than anything. Like obviously he showed improvement this year. Like I'm not gonna like try to harp on him just because we're trying to get rid of like I'm trying to get rid of him at the same time. Like I still think he showed like noticeable improvements from last year. Like as a defender, like even though we've again like harped on him sometimes for getting lost, he's still like become a much better defender than he was. Playmaking is still kind of not good at all, but like as a scorer in transition, we've seen like noticeable jumps, and that's why he was able to like pretty consistently be that secondary star next to Steph. But I still think like we still need to trade him in order to like improve the roster in some way. Again, it's kind of hard to like noticeably get much better if we don't want to include Wiggins because Wiggins is the big contract that would potentially bring back a star. But I don't know. I guess we don't. I wouldn't necessarily say we have to bring back a star. It's tough to figure out like back with the money that Kaminga goes out with, but seems like the like a type of player that has like offensive punch, but is not that expensive. But obviously, him alone is not enough to be like a solid number two. So it's kind of tough. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think let
I
me
mean,
take it
I've
from there,
been
Thomas. Let me take it from there. I'm gonna just kind of mention what I honestly think happened. For the fans at home, if you guys recall, we had a very heated debate slash discussion maybe last season or a season before, where I was talking about the future of the Warriors and where in an ideal like an AI generated type of thing, you blow it up. You trade Steph, you trade Draymond, You trade Wiggins, you trade Schroeder, and then you keep just the young guys. You keep Kaminga, you keep Pod, you keep Trace, you keep Post, and you go for a rebuild. Honestly, I think in hindsight, I still agree with my take, and I think actually it has been proven that clearly with Steph here, and Steph is again a joy to watch. He's a cornerstone of the franchise. He put us on the map, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But for the franchise itself, for the future of our franchise, for the future of the Golden State Warriors, for us to even be have a chance at anything in the future, because right now clearly we're not doing anything. We have Steph. He's going out there every night, just like killing himself, and we're not doing jack. We're literally 11th in the standings right now. We are a bad team right now. It's not even like imagine if this was the NBA without the plan. We're an abysmal team. That like 11 seed is like, dog, you're not even anywhere near the playoff. Right now, at least we have the plan to kind of hope for, and we could get into the plan, sneak into the playoffs because it's one game type thing. So there's always, ups and downs in those. We're just not a good team. I honestly think it's time to move on, salvage what we can. Steph is still one of the best guards in the league. You get a lot of value out of him. Obviously, not like a dump him somewhere and like, oh, we're done with him like that. You treat him with respect. He's a legend of the franchise. But I mean, what's the other solution? We just kind of sink in a drowning ship just
Yeah, well,
because.
yeah. I mean, that's just gonna happen.
Exactly. And you bring a great point. Obviously, Dunleavy, the franchise, the front office, there's no way they trade Steph. There's no way they trade Dre. They don't blow it up. It's just that's why I said AI, because you have to remove emotion. But that problem with the Warriors, the problem with Kerr, which I believe Wes, you sent that video. There's a great YouTuber, a local Warriors commentator, talking about how we're a very emotion-based team. Moody, like he fits the culture, he's a nice guy, et cetera, et cetera. We were not cutthroat, healed. Freaking, he's still getting time. Like Kerr is like, Chris Paul, another example. Oh, Chris Paul. We're a very much feel good team. We like good vibes. Great. I love it. Right. Amongst those good vibes, people still get the shit punched out of them, like Jordan Poole. But we're a overall good vibes team. I think, obviously, we're never going to do that, but we need to. There's no other solution. Even if we bring any of the stars on the market right now, you bring Laurie, you bring Jimmy Butler, you bring these guys. We're
Rory's not
still
on the
not.
market, actually.
I'm saying when he was.
Contract
Let's
isn't
say we had
tradable.
brought him.
Yeah.
Let's say when he was last season, we didn't trade Pods and Kaminga. Mistake, right? But even if we trade Pods and Kaminga, we had Laurie right now in an alternate universe. We're still not doing jack. Maybe we're the sixth seed. Maybe we're a higher seed, but we're not winning a chip. It's just not happening. We lose.
What about the
lose-
championship we won last year?
Championship? What?
If we had traded for him, what about the championship we won last year? If we had traded for him,
We wouldn't have won that.
oh yeah, we would have.
Agree to disagree. I genuinely don't think so.
I actually
And-
saw it. I saw into the future, so you don't have to argue. I just saw it happen.
All right. Anyways, so that's my point, and that's what I've been feeling about the Warriors. Again, I know it's on the extreme side and whatever, because look, the typical things. Okay, you fire the coach, you fire this, bro. That stuff. I get it. Kerr has been making some questionable decisions, but it's not like even our play style has been like, oh yeah, man, under a different system, we'd be cooking. This is our system. So I don't know. That's been my monologue a little bit, me ranting a little bit. Open floor. You guys could bash the idea, disagree, etc.
I guess like I won't. There's no point really arguing about it because it's just not going to happen. Like,
Of course,
you know,
yeah. There's no
we
way
already
it
had
happens.
we already had the whole argument about it. So I mean, again, I'm gonna steer away from that. I'm just gonna say really quickly, if we are going to be honest with ourselves and we're gonna look at like quote unquote realistic trades we could do to maybe improve the team, something I was thinking of was Colin Sexton. He's almost certainly going to be moved. He's averaging like 18 something, I think 18 in the game this year on like I think slightly positive true shooting. He's much more of a floor spacer than Schroeder is, which I think would be really super helpful. And I think the deal would probably be something like Schroeder plus GP2 plus Looney to cover salary plus a first round pick. You kind of get rid of some of these veterans that aren't really contributing anything positive to this team anymore in the rotation. You get rid of Schroeder, who clearly doesn't fit the Warriors system and or at least doesn't seem to be willing to adjust his play style to fit the Warriors system. Either he's incapable or unwilling. I don't really know which one it is, but you can just watch the way that he's playing. He looks like he doesn't even want it. He just kind of like stands around and dribbles a little bit and then passes the ball to somebody else. He clearly has no interest in doing anything on the Warriors. He seems to just be completely checked out. So you flip him plus some of these veterans that aren't contributing and maybe get a guy who could theoretically play like 25 to 30 minutes and be a legitimate scoring threat. That's like my one idea
Yeah.
I was
And
thinking of
my one
something you could maybe
question,
do to elevate this team to like the eighth
sure.
seed instead of the 11th seed.
Sure. And then my question to that, or I guess my follow-up question is, so then we lose a little bit in rebounding, which is one of our positives this season. We rank, I believe, in rebounding. Just give me a moment, please. We rank third in the league for rebounding, and obviously Looney is a factor to that. So we lose that a little bit for, again, a Schroeder-esque player. Yeah, I agree.
No, but
He's a more of a
it's not the
placemaker.
same though, because it really is all about the shooting when you're talking about like
It seems like a
that's the
more
really
of a
big
pool.
difference.
Sorry, can you repeat
He is
that,
closer to Poole than
Wes?
he is.
I would say Schroeder because Schroeder's more of like a playmaker, and Colin Sexton and Poole are just like both natural scorers and shooters. So I just think that that's a better comparison. And I would like a Poole type player on our team. Like I like the fit of that better than a Dennis
Yeah, but
Schroeder,
then
to be
I guess
honest.
in my question to you guys, and then after this, Wes, you could give one suggestion because we're running out of time. Is that I mean we're losing on potential playmaking, which is kind of what we need, right? That's we already have a like we don't have a lot of great consistent scorers, but like Kaminga, Wiggins, that's kind of what they're doing. They're scoring. We need a little bit of playmaking other than Steph and Dre, right? So when they're off the court, it just becomes ISO ball essentially, right? So if you're getting a guy like Sexton, then it's just basically when Steph is gone, complete ISO ball. And I don't know. I just again, and also, I mean, besides these points, it's more like a all right, great. We do this trade, we get from 11th to 8th, I guess. So it's like again, it doesn't really solve the issue of a chip, right? That's what we want to win, right? Not be like the Chicago Bulls of the Western Conference, right?
I
Uh,
mean, yeah, but like, I mean, let's face it, right? Like, I mean, you just had your whole rant thing. I mean, we all know this isn't a championship team, and we also know that there's no chance in hell that the front office is going to make a trade, right? So,
yeah,
I don't
you know
know.
it's
I mean,
over. You know
I'm
it's
just
over
spitballing.
when it's over when Thomas says we're not winning this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just spitballing, dog. I'm just saying.
You know it's over. Like literally, ladies and gentlemen, we can end the season right here, right now. Why do any trades? Thomas, like, bro has never said in his life that we're not going to win a chip. Every season, 2020, 2019, 2021, when we had literally no one. We had that spaghetti dude. What was his name? Wes, you know him, right? He had the color of popcorn hair. Can you repeat
Oh
that?
God. What was his fucking name? Oh,
With
Nico Mannion.
no, no, not Nico Manion. This is 2021. He had popcorn hair, literally. He was like a 20% field goal percentage guy. I'm
Red
forgetting his
Wanamaker.
name. No, man.
There's been
Man,
so
I'm
many
forgetting.
bums on this team over the
Yeah,
years.
anyways, but my point remains though that it's over. But anyways, okay. So to kind of not drag the episode, Wes, what do you think overall about the situation? What should we do?
Realistically, like you guys both said, we're not trading Dre or Steph, so we kind of just have to. And like the reason I really like, okay, maybe you could say like objectively we should like trade Steph and Dre and plan for the future, but I just like we don't know like all the young guys we have, I don't see as ever potentially becoming the number one guy. So I'm kind of just like whatever. Like worse since like we get to the eighth seed, that sounds like a I guess like funnish situation to like strive for, I guess. And you know, like the thing with the West this year is that it's not like insanely there's not like a heavy favorite. I mean, OKC definitely is the heavy favorite, I would say, but you draw the right matchup, and I think a lot of series could potentially go like 6 or 7, and like probably in the higher seeds favor. But I think like we're not like super far away, and we're not super outmatched in a lot of series. Even though we wouldn't be the favorite. But I remember when we watched the when we watched Poole live against the Bulls. I mean, Poole, he's insanely impressed me, and him would fit nicely on our team. Like there's a reason why we won the chip when he was on our team, among other things. But he was like a main reason because we had that scoring punch. Like outside of Steph, I still think Poole was probably our second best scorer. Like maybe not our second most important player because of certain defenders on our team, but I still think Poole was like our second most impactful scorer. So I think Exton would type player would definitely like shift us further up the pedigree than you would think for just a player like Colin Sexton. Obviously, it's probably just from the 11th seed to the 8th seed or something. I don't know. I still think that's kind of worth striving for. I don't want to just like give up. But
Yeah, yeah. I think you all bring fair points. I think we all agree overall, which is a pretty depressing thing, right? Because when we all agree, that either means we're really really good or we're really really bad. So right now we're really really bad. So um, I think that's about it. Let's give our prediction for the NFL playoffs today, baby. I will start. Oh man, I'm going with the Commanders. We're going Commanders 28-21. Last drive by Jaden McDaniels. Is that his name? Jaden McDaniels?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. I always call him McDaniels. And then obviously the Chiefs. That's like a 41-0, Mahomes. Um,
That's
and then the
crazy.
Super Bowl, Chiefs versus Commanders. And of course, Patrick Mahomes gets the three-peat, a huge plus to his legacy and a knock to Brady's. Mahomes has beaten the MVPs of the season in the past. Just another day in the office for him. That's my take.
Thompson's our best expert in the NFL, so we'll say the best for last in terms of like accuracy. So I'm gonna go. Dude, I've gone back and forth on Eagles Chiefs. I think Saquon's just so nice. I'm gonna go Eagles. Eagles 27 to Commanders 22. So it's a close game, but I'm still gonna. Dude, shut the. Hassan just put the eggplant emoji reaction, but yeah, I mean, I love Jane Daniels. I really love Jane Daniels. He's like incredible. But yeah, I got to go with Saquon. And I hate Jalen Hurts, by the way, just for the record. I hate Jalen Hurts so much. So this is going against my best judgment in my heart. And then of course, Bills Chiefs. I'm gonna go Bills. Let's go. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game, despite like two of the quarterbacks on the rosters. But let's see. I'm gonna go 41 to 32 Buffalo Bills. And then in the Super Bowl game, we're gonna go Bills. Buffalo is gonna slay Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, and I mean Jalen Hurts doesn't really matter. But we're gonna go Bills 41 to 26 against over the Eagles in the Super
Last
Bowl.
but not least, Thomas.
Yeah, okay. I guess for Eagles Commanders, I'm gonna try to be objective as I can. I think I just don't see the Commanders defense holding up. I think Eagles, they have such a disgusting style of play where they're just able to grind these teams down, and you always feel like they're in a vulnerable position and they're about to lose, and they always close it out. So I think what Wes said is going to be about accurate. I'll go like 24-20. I'd say Eagles probably. I wouldn't be shocked if the ball ends up in the Eagles' possession with like 7 minutes left and the Commanders just straight up never get the ball back, and that's how the game ends. And in the continued interest of being objective, I'm going to say Bills 35, Chiefs nothing. I think Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL first play,
Let's go.
and their season is over. And in fact, Patrick Mahomes will never recover. He's going to end up being one of the greatest what ifs in history because he's going to re-tear his ACL this offseason when he's practicing. And then when he's the next offseason, when he's trying to practice again, he's going to re-tear his ACL. And he's never really going to get on the field again. So that's my prediction. And then the Bills will probably beat the Eagles too. I'll say 32-27.
All right. Well, we're gonna catch you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening and see you.